you know, when we get to have this conversation on this side of the story. And, you know, we, as always, of course, we have the little spoiler alert lurking in the background. But the great news is that, I mean, this is a wonderful story. I think that you guys have a case that is very similar to a lot of the people that come to us. And, you know, it's complex, it's challenging, lots of roundabouts and turns and twists. But what I would like to start with you guys is perhaps, Alia, let's start with you describing a little bit about the moment that you were told that your AMH was very low and that IVF was the only option for you. I think that's a good place for us to begin.
Yes. We decided we were ready to start a family. And I was told, like, you know, first thing you do, you go and check your hormones, check all the things are right. So I did that. I went to see a female doctor, and she did the usual tests. And after we did the usual test, I was pretty much told straight away that that my AMH was 0.8, and that by then I was 37 years old. And she was like, here is some pamphlets. There are some fertility clinic here on the Gold Coast. I'll suggest this one rather than this one. And you should make an appointment with the doctor, and he will take over from there. Like, I was completely shocked. I did not expect that. Not in a million years. Thought that was the way we were going to conceive. And then I was trying, to scramble for, like, is there any other way? Like, like, it can't be the only way. She was like, no, your AMH is too low. That's it. Obviously super shocked. I left the doctor, went to talk to Nick, made the appointment with the fertility doctor. And then I always feel like they try to fix something by finding something else that needs to be fixed, because then I was diagnosed with endometriosis. So then I was kind of like stuck in the circle of going back and forth to the clinic to fix problems. They were like going to fix the bigger problem that was us trying to fall pregnant. Yeah. So I think that was in 2019. I didn't do my endometriosis operation until January 2020, I think. And you always felt like this back and forth of, like, appointments and continuously paying for appointments and just doing more and more tests and everything. So so the journey really started there when we were trying to fall pregnant. And at the end of the day, we were told, no, the only way is this way.
Yeah. How was it for you, Nick? Because I think that it's a huge shock. Obviously, it sounds like you weren't at the appointment at this stage. It's a huge shock for one to hear this is the only way, and by the way, your ovarian reserve is very low. But then I imagine, and I can totally understand how you weren't expecting to receive the news. If you thought that you were going to get quote unquote bad news, you probably would have braced yourself a little bit more. How was it for you hearing that, Nick?
Well, I mean, at the time we had very little knowledge and information about the whole thing. So it was all we had to go on. So it was kind of, we had to go along with it, I guess. And it was disappointing because obviously we're not old, and we never thought there was going to be any issues, to be honest. We always thought it was just going to happen that week.
Yeah, we were just like, let's try.
But I found I found it very sterile and very like unpersonal, and it was I really didn't enjoy it at all, to be honest with you.
I can imagine. I mean, by this stage, you were trying to conceive already, or was it just the first kind of before you started, you wanted to get things checked in?
I think we weren't as careful as we always been.
Right.
So we were kind of like, yeah, it's just gonna happen, you know. It happens to everyone. That's what's gonna happen. And then I think maybe we were trying for maybe not even a couple of months. I don't know. We were just not careful, but we were like not pressuring ourselves. We still wanted to enjoy that part of the falling pregnant part. I didn't know, like, when AMH, now there is a term that obviously I'm very familiar with, but like I had no idea what it was. I had to do a research. I had to like kind of find out. And when they give you the graph with your blood work, you can see like how on the graph, like how down it is. You should be up here, you're down here. So it was just kind of like, oh my God, what is going on? What are all these numbers? What are all these words? Then when we went to the fertility clinic, like, you just really felt like just a number. Like you just really felt it was a copy. It felt like it was a copy paste for each one that was coming in.
Yeah.
So it was very, very impersonal. And the male fertility doctor, well, he was suggested because he's a very rewarded doctor. He's recognized, and I know he helped many, many people. First of all, it just didn't feel right that he was a male the first time. But, he was the best. Of course, you want to go with the best. You want to have the best. And it's just on my doorstep. I don't need to travel to Sydney or Melbourne or Canberra or Adelaide. Like, he's just there. So we just went with that. And it's been a learning experience as well for us. So yeah, that's how it kind of like started, with a big shock, very clueless of what was out there for us in the fertility journey. And we learned a lot. It was
and by this stage, I mean, so you were told, okay, you need to do IVF, and obviously you started on that journey. And what happened? Did you go and do your next cycle straight away, or what ended up happening there?
The doctor insisted I had endometriosis, given the symptoms, my menstrual symptoms. So he suggested I do the operation. Because at the beginning, he was like, just go home. There's nothing wrong with you. Just go home, have sex, and you will fall pregnant eventually.
Yeah.
We looked at each other and we said, okay, let's go home, do it, and fall pregnant. I think we left like a couple of 3 months in between. And then we went back again, maybe at the beginning of summer. And we're like, look, nothing is happening. Like, I feel like, I'm wasting time. If there is something else we can do. I was like, okay, then let's book you in for a laparoscopy, and let's clean up your tubes, let's flush your tubes, let's clear rid of the endometriosis. In hindsight, I'm happy I did, because from his report, like my uterine walls was ovarian scar, so hence my painful periods. And he said it was level 4, which is like on a scale, it was 1 to 5. Anyway, it was a severe endometriosis, which I'm happy I got rid of. And, but then there is the recovery, because you're taking the drugs, and then the bloating, and then, you need to be careful. So there was lots of waiting. So let's say from the first appointment to the endometriosis after the operation, it was probably like 7-8 months. So that left us around March.
Right.
March, we decided let's do IVF, and let's do a preface. I am here in Australia on a visa that doesn't give me any Medicare support. So when I went to get my IVF medication, it was a $3,000 bill that I had to pay up front for it, beside the cost of the IVF. So we did the injections, the triggering with everything, and then obviously doing all the scans, and was only one follicle growing. That was like, I think there were like maybe 5 at the beginning of the cycle, and then they just weren't strong enough. Only one follicle was growing, and then they suggested we stop. We won't be going ahead to do IVF because these chances for it to be successful are very, very, very low. So let's do an IUI, which is they inject the sperm through
the uterus, near the fallopian tubes.
And then they do their work. It didn't work, but we kind of knew. We kind of knew.
What made you feel that you kind of knew? Like, what was it that at that stage was not feeling quite right for you guys?
The whole process didn't feel right from the beginning. Like we trusted the doctor because they said this is the only way. It just didn't feel like the way for us. I don't know. You have an innate sense of like right, wrong, and it didn't feel right for me, and it didn't feel right how it was just like so surgical, really, like you are in the room, and it's just the love that we put towards my, like I was talking to my uterus, I was talking to my follicle, like, I was doing all, maybe let's say like the more woo-woo things that I always had, like, I always been like, I've been a yoga teacher, I've been breath work, meditation, I've done all the work that if I felt called to, so it was really, it just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right, the whole thing. And there was no, checking the follicle beforehand. There was no checking. I think they only did a sperm count test just to check how, the density, how many sperm per, I don't remember the exact term, but you know what I'm talking about.
Semen analysis.
In terms of Nick, there was everything else. I don't think they even did like any blood work for hormones either. So then you just so gutted.
But also by then we'd been trying for ages, and it was just, they were just doing the same thing we were doing, but in a lab. And for me, like, you're not changing anything. You're just charging us for to do the same thing we're doing at home anyway.
And I can imagine how frustrating that would be. I mean, obviously for you guys, it was a situation of, you're told this is what you need to do, so you went and did it, and then it's like, well, that didn't work, so then this is what you need to do, so you go and do it. Well, that didn't work. So what's next?
And also,
so you ended up.
They didn't have any answers to any questions.
Nothing. Like, it was so crazy. Like,
I asked a lot of questions, and they couldn't tell me any, because apparently they don't know the answers to any of the questions.
Bravo.
It really is. I mean, by the time you've had an IVF cycle that you pretty much have to pay out of pocket, and a couple of IUI cycles, you're down thousands of dollars, and still no clearer to an answer of like, okay, why is this happening? So I can imagine that would have been extremely frustrating by this stage.
And then by this time, we were in the middle of COVID. So I remember my mom got sick back in Italy. And it was the day that we were doing the transfer. So I always felt like, sure, it can be the miracle that is going to save us all, because my mom was in very bad condition, and it's going to give her the strength as well to get better and everything. But you know, like it was just like too much stress, was too much pressure, and then we decided to change doctor. I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna trust a man to help me get pregnant, as much as he came recommended with, like, you know, great reviews and recommendations from everyone. So I went to find another female doctor. She understood what I was looking for, which was a bit more sympathy, a bit more warmth, a bit more, you know, a bit of a woman feel. We did the same thing, trigger injections, one follicle is growing, IUI, didn't work. I was like, you know what, let's go. Let's stop this here. Let's do something. And in the meantime, we started doing our research. We were starting like informing ourselves on, you know, cycles and follicles and you know, egg reserve. Why did I have such a little egg reserve? You know, finding a little information. And then that's around the time that I still, honestly, I don't know how I stumbled upon your podcast you were invited to, and you were talking so well and you explained things so well, and you gave me so much hope. I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is what we are missing. This is what we need to do. So I had to like pitch.
Yeah, we were camping. And
yes.
I got this.
Yeah, no, we were in Western Australia.
I found this other lady, and I'm like,
oh my God, another one.
Oh my God.
Luke is like, oh my God, don't tell me about it. I don't want to know.
Yes, and I was like trying to pitch to Nick the, you know, my plan, you know, like, you know, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk to her. They do like 14 days, or I don't remember if it was 20 or it was 30.
But 14-day challenge. 14 days
challenge. Let's do this, baby. We need to reset. We need to start fresh. You know, we're still gonna keep on going. Like, you know, I want a baby. And then I think we were in Western Australia, so we were like traveling in remote areas. I don't know, but I remember talking to one of your assistants, trying to organize the conversation with you for when we were coming back to the podcast. Kingsley. And then we had that beautiful chat with you that afternoon. I still remember in my little office place. Nick asked all his questions. You were able to answer all his questions, and he was so impressed. And he was like, "Oh my God, she knows what she's talking about." I remember.
Imagine.
It all made sense all of a sudden.
Like, okay, so that's how it is. That's what we need to do. And then we signed up straight away for the program.
Isn't it interesting? I always find it so fascinating to hear your version of the story at this side of the conversation, you know, because it's very frequent that I hear this, you know, I had to convince him, and then, you know, he got in front of you and he got convinced. I always tell my patients, you know what, just bring your partner to this conversation. If it's right, we will know, you know. It's really important.
I just said to her, like, let's just talk to her, whatever, you know, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, I was ready to sign on the dotted line.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
you know, but it's also, I think that it also speaks to the process itself, because, you know, I always say to people, because people think that I'm not a magician by any means. You know, I go by very strong pattern recognition. I've been doing this for 25 years. So you can imagine that it's pretty quick that I can look and see, okay, what's happening here? Are there missing pieces? Can we help? And if we can't, I'm the first to recommend and suggest other things. But when I say to somebody, you know, I think that this is the best next path for you, I only do that if I truly believe it. Because for me, it's so much easier to just take somebody who I know is going to have a baby because they're ready, willing, able to do the things that are required, and there is still that potential in terms of their fertility versus, you know, to convince people of things that they don't want to do. Like, it's just not my thing, you know. But it's so interesting to hear how the dynamic of the conversation, you know, goes, because I never know until we get to this point, you know. And some people get very offended by my manner, you know. And so I'm definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm glad, Nick, to hear that, you know, it made sense to you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was just so logical. Like, I don't know, the whole IVF thing felt like just, obviously it works for some people, but it just felt like when you explain the minor factors and all that stuff, that's when I was like, this is where it's at. This is the problem back there, not in the, you know, in the bedroom.
Yeah. And for most people, you know, it's so interesting. I spoke to a lady today who has had 5 failed IVF cycles, fully stimulated cycles. And she asked me a question that is always the wrong question to ask, right? And the question she asked was, is there something major that we have missed? There's never something major by the time you've had 5 failed IVF cycles, because what's happening is that nobody can really pinpoint what is getting in the way. So the idea is always, you know, it's a numbers game, just keep trying. But that also is not the case, because if that was, this couple would have already had their baby, you know, and so it's a challenging situation. But for you guys, you know, like what I'm fascinated by is that you've done everything that you had to do by this stage, right? So you were told that IVF was the thing, you did that. You were told IUI was the thing, you did that. And then you realized that, okay, we're still missing some pieces here. But you didn't know so much about what was still missing. Tell me a little bit about the things that you uncovered through going through the Fertility Breakthrough Program that were new things.
Well, I think for us, beside obviously my low AMH, which is not, you know, it wasn't going to be the problem for us not to get baby, because we know that I was growing one follicle, and at the end of the day, we know that's all you need, unless you want to have twins or triplets. So we focused on the couple, so my half and his half.
Yeah.
So we, Emma and Georgina, you know, first of all, the questionnaire, we had to fill out the questionnaire. We had to be really truthful about our decisions that we have made in our 37 and 40 years of life. And with that, for us, in itself, for me, was like healing as well. Like, you know, okay, so I did this, we did that, we were, you know, so we did. And then going through all the tests we had to do. First of all, Nick, what we found out through the hair test. He had very high lead and aluminium levels, which were a minor factor that contributed to possible his sperm inability to be strong and healthy enough to do some of the work for the follicle to grow and become you know, a baby. For me, and then we found out that Nick had an AMH, no.
And MTHFR?
Yes, yes, the gene mutation. So we supplemented that with a specific vitamin.
And at this stage, you also had some elevated homocysteine. So there were some issues that were impacting sperm quality at this point.
And that's the thing, like, you know, because obviously the blood work you do it with the doctor, and then you take it to the practitioner, to the naturopath at the Rosa Institute. And for the doctors, all good.
Yeah.
All good. Here is your results, all good.
The doctor parameters and your parameters were very different.
They are very different. That's one big thing.
And it's so bad because there'd be so many couples out there who are told that everything's okay with the guy, and then all the pressure's on the woman, and the guy probably just, you know, buttons off and And he's like, oh, it's not me, it's you. And it's terrible because that puts pressure on everybody. And it's just because, I mean, I don't know where they get their parameters from, but they just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that you say this, Nick, and thank you for bringing this up, because I think that so many couples struggle for so much longer and so much harder than they need to because of exactly this point. The comparison of average lab ranges versus what's optimal and ideal for somebody is very, very different, right? And so what happens is you can have a semen analysis. How often I hear people say, oh, I've had a miscarriage, I've had failed treatments. And I ask, so show me the report of the semen analysis. And the person will say to me, oh yeah, it's all normal, it's all fine. So I'm like, okay, but show me the actual result. I want to see the actual piece of paper where you've got the numbers written down. So I go and look at the paper and it's like all suboptimal. Like it's low within the normal reference range, which incidentally is already low compared to optimal and ideal, right? And then people are wondering why they're struggling to have a baby, you know, and I've just been told, oh yeah, everything is normal, just keep trying. So I agree with you. I think that this is one of the biggest frustrations that I have for patients going through this, is that, you know, if only you get the right information to begin with, then you are alert and you are aware that, okay, there's more work here that needs to be done, and it's work that I need to do, as opposed to what you just said. It's the blame game. Oh no, it's a woman's fault, it's this, it's that, and nobody wins, because fertility is a team sport. Fertility happens for a couple, you know. So it's really interesting that you say that.
And I think sorry, there's some people also that come to you, Gabriela, is like they need to trust, and they come from a bit, like, even for us, you know, to come to someone else that, you know, we put our trust into one doctor and then another, and, you know, we hope they were going to help us, but, you know, we were kind of like, are we gonna trust these people that, you know, I heard once on a podcast, and, you know, we're gonna do everything online. It just, like, you know, I was ready to book tickets for Sydney, you know, like to come and see you. That's how I thought it was going to be. And then everything that we needed to know and we asked you, you were able to answer. And then we started the program, and it was just like, yes, like, you know, we trusted our Emma and Georgina straight away. They were super professional throughout everything. Like, I think I mean, I'm still now, like, if I think about them, I always get so emotional, because if it wasn't for them, I know we wouldn't have Kingsley, you know, like, I don't know, it's just such a journey, and we learn so much. Absolutely. I think even sometimes our friends say, like, but have you done this test for him? Have you done your test for your husband? No, they said it wasn't necessary, but it was not. Do you know, like,
you're like, go.
Yeah, one things so much for the right things, because you know, they are available. You just need to ask for them. You know.
Yeah. And it's really challenging, because, you know, if you look at standard therapy, and I think that's the experience that you guys were speaking to, it's a conveyor belt, right? It's like okay, let's just go through this process and protocol-based process, and we don't deviate from that process. We just keep doing the things that need to, quote unquote, be done. But then when results are still not there, and you've got to ask the question of, like, okay, what else is there? You're just told, no, there's nothing else. Just donor egg. Go into donor egg now.
Whatever, you know.
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah. And how many patients, you know, over the years I've had where they did exactly what you did. They did the next step that was recommended, and the next, they end up in the donor egg cycle situation, and 4 failed donor egg cycles later, they're still going, but hang on a second, this is not working. What else is there? No, there's nothing else. It's like, okay. And then they go on to conceive and have babies after we uncover these issues, you know, that are present and that need to be addressed. So it's, I hear you completely. It's a very, And, you know, in your situation especially, I think that one really interesting thing about your case is that you already were having elevation of your follicle stimulating hormone. So your ovary was already starting to kind of show that, okay, this is going to be a little bit harder than usual. Your ovarian reserve was obviously low. And instead of being told, okay, let's really lock in and figure out what are all of the factors on both sides of the equation that will help to relieve the egg from having to do so much work. It's like, oh, you know, you're all right, mate.
It's really so simple.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
for the program, I don't know if you have there in your notes, but even my AMH went up. At one point,
I mean, you know, it's interesting because, you know, AMH fluctuation is a normal thing. And the reality of the matter is that once you've had your AMH tested and it's shown to be a particular level, i.e. low, and your FSH is starting to elevate, it almost doesn't matter what happens moving on from here. Even if it changes and it gets quote unquote better or worse, it doesn't really change the fact that it is definitely going down the path of diminishing, right? And that we have to work effectively, because if we don't address all of the global issues that are usually happening upstream from that result, you know, and if we think about AMH as actually a result of what's happened in the past in terms of recruitment of eggs. So it's fascinating. A lot of people don't realize that, you know, the AMH measure today is actually a measure of eggs or follicles that were retrieved months ago, like almost a year ago. So that change over time happens slowly, and people are then told, oh, you need to go and do IVF straight away because you're already, like, you know, you're going to run out of time. And it's like, no, that's actually not how it works biologically, you know. And a lot of people don't understand that, and so they rush into treatment rather than addressing the issues in terms of their health that need to be addressed. And of course, keep having failed cycles, you know, which is not ideal.
That also puts way more pressure on the couple as well, because you feel like you're running out of time.
How was that for you guys? You know, I'd love to hear a little bit about that, because I think not enough people talk about how challenging it is to navigate this journey, you know, as a couple. How did you guys find it, and how did you navigate it?
Oh, you go. I think it was hard. It was very, very hard.
It was very hard. I think if someone is lucky enough to fall pregnant straight away, you obviously want to share the joy. You also want to share the joy, so like, oh, we're trying for a baby. But then when it doesn't happen, it becomes a bit lonely, in a sense that you are already disappointed, sad when it, you know, month after month. And you just don't want to talk about it anymore, but everybody knows about it. So they're kind of like, oh, is she pregnant? They don't want to ask because, you know, if you don't bring it forward, it means that it probably didn't happen. So, and I don't know, maybe because we were trying to fall pregnant during the COVID period, so we weren't around too many people either. Yeah. So it was kind of like, sure, we were in our bubble, we were doing our things, we were taking our supplements, we were doing, you know, our diet, we were following, like, you know, cleaning up everything we had to clean up. So it was, in a way, kind of like nice to do that in this bubble, but at the same time, yeah, it's really hard, especially like I have my mom, my sister, my father, some of my friends in Europe. Obviously they knew we wanted to start a family. They were kind of like waiting for the call as well. That kind of like didn't happen until it did. But yeah, just lonely, a bit sad, and
And I felt it got harder every month too, you know, like.
But then, I don't know, at some point for me, it was like, I know all these things. I'm doing all the right things. I'm really like, one of the things that I probably did and never have done, like I really put everything into it. I didn't skip one thing. I didn't indulge in something, like, you know, if it was the no alcohol, it was the no sugar for me. They were like, you know, not that Nick doesn't drink anymore. I was having maybe the glass of wine here and there. And you know what, like, if I have to do this, I'm gonna have to do it properly. Like, I'm not going to cut corners. So I remember you saying, I think I had one of the emotional
emotional support sessions.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember something that you said that stuck with me, you know, now almost 4 years in. And, you know, you were talking about, like, you know, how swimmers stay in their lane in, you know, when they're on a race. If they look back, they look behind them, they look up, you know, they're going to lose precious time, they're going to lose precious moments. And that is what's going to be a make it or break it deal to the finish line. So you stay in your lane, concentrate on what you do, don't care about the rest. And that stuck with me so much now to this day, that sometimes I think back at this sentence and it's like, you know, it's my path, I'm going to go this way and I'm going to do it properly. So I think working with you gave us very much hope, because we saw the progress, we saw the benefits, we saw not only physically, but, like, you know, we were doing tests all the time, like, you know, how Nick's aluminium and lead levels went completely down, his homocysteine also went down. I had a little bit of heavy metal in my bloodstream as well, like, you know, those went completely down. And I remember when Emma said, okay, we've done our protocol, you know, what we're taking is working, you guys can try. I was like, oh my God. I remember feeling so like,
how was that? I mean, Nick, after all of that effort and all of that work, you know, like, all of a sudden you get the go ahead. What happened here?
It was exciting. But I think she said something like, she kind of said something that along the lines of, don't get your hopes up because it's still early, you know, like it wasn't that harsh. It was really nice. So
I hope so.
I said, well, let's try and we'll see what happens, because we were still taking all the supplements and like and from what I understood, it was quite early, you know, 3 months was sort of very early to start. So we were like, yeah, okay, let's see what happens.
But by then I knew my period like inside out. I knew the ovulation. I felt like, you know, I was at the end of my ovulation cycle. I was like, we think we just missed the window because it was a bit out. And
that might have been what
yeah, we were like just a bit out of that. So I was probably like on my next phase. And then obviously I got the month after I got my period. And that was in November. And then we did went ahead on my cycle in December, and we did what we had to do, follow the instruction.
Very focused.
Yes, they were very important, you know, like I think, you know, those was very important as well. They were so, I mean, they worked.
we aim for that, Alia.
Yeah.
We aim for that.
They worked, you know, like you're not just gonna do it like this, you're gonna follow everything to the T. And you know, such good students. And then I remember actually this morning today is the 6th of January and is 4 years to the day that we found out that I was pregnant with Kingsley.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Like, literally, I have goosebumps. It's like, oh, Kingsley, this is it.
You were in mommy's belly 4 years ago. Yeah. So
That is incredible.
emailing Emma, and I was like, Emma, my period is late. Like, wait a little bit longer to take the test. You know, it might be maybe, you know, just like, you know, she was so cautious because obviously, of course, she knows what was inside our heart and everything. And I was like, okay, but I'm still gonna do the test. Is that okay? And then I did the test on the 6th of January 2022, and I was 1 to 2 weeks pregnant, so I was like super early. I remember emailing Emma straight away, letting her know, and she was like, you need to go and do the blood test, and just to make sure. And we were just over the moon.
Incredible. How did this feel? Nick, how was this for you?
Well, I woke up and I had COVID.
Oh,
so
no.
I was like suboptimal.
No.
Basically dying. And
well, that was perfect timing then. The conception attempt happening before this.
It could not have happened. It couldn't have been more perfect.
No, because we had high temperature. You know what that involves.
That would have been months of preparation again to be able to try, you know, with fevers and things like that. But also a little bit concerning because you were early in your pregnancy. So were you quarantining in the doghouse, or what happened, Nick?
No. I don't know what happened.
No. We stayed in the same bed.
Okay, so you probably also had COVID and was all good.
And the funny thing, I got it like a month and a half after. I think I was much later. I think I was 13 weeks pregnant when I had COVID. But for us, it was super mild. We just had fever. I just had fever. For me, it was super mild, nothing concerning, and it was honestly, I had the best pregnancy, but I also the preparation for it. We were the best health-wise we ever been. Like, even if I look back at some pictures now of myself, before I even knew that I was pregnant, like maybe I had a picture of me in front of a mirror, because I used to like take a picture in front of the mirror just in case, with my belly out, and like, you know, I looked so good, like so healthy.
Yeah, we were
so healthy. Like, we just gave up so much to gain so much more, so much knowledge, so much support, and we use everything you guys offer in the program. Just, I mean, personally, you know, the emotional support system session, I think I did 2 or 3. You know, I was always in the Q&A. I did few with Alison. You know, we were always there for our appointments.
I think that's the thing. You know, if you're going to do it, you know, just bring it. Bring your A game, you know, is what I say. It's like you might as well.
Yes. All in.
That is incredible.
Yeah, it was.
But then, to be honest with you, obviously I was super happy, but I was terrified.
Oh, yes.
For 3 months. Well,
why?
You know, after everything, and we're finally here, and then what happens if, you know? So I never really got super excited until that 3-month mark, and then
he didn't tell me this for a long time. I had no idea he was going through this internal turmoil, because I was like walking on clouds. And I have the funniest video ever when I announced my pregnancy to my best friend. Like, I look at it now and I still. She's with 2 people that were like very close friends. We were able to tell them face to face, because the rest was like no, a few, but like, you know, strong people like close to us. And yeah, it was like incredible. It was like, I want more. I want more.
That is so, it's so lovely. It's so like, tell me, if you could sit in front of the version of you, Nick, that was scared back then, and that felt like, you know, this has been a long journey and it has been so challenging. What would you tell Nick back then?
Oh, obviously that it's going to be all right. We've done the work. We've put in all the effort. Yeah, that's
amazing. Isn't it wonderful? I think it's just such a beautiful thing to be able to look back and go, you know what? Things happen how they needed to happen, and here we are. You know, it's such a beautiful thing. What about you, Alia? Like, you know, if you think back to all the things that you had to go through and all the challenges and all the failed cycles and, you know, like all of that kind of feeling like a number in the system, you know, what is it that you wish that you understood back then? And what would you tell someone who might be there at this point?
Look, I can say that there are no people out there that want to help you to reach your dreams and, you know, fall pregnant. I feel that, especially in the last few years, I think that falling pregnant, it's a very big business, and especially when they start to push certain things for people. I don't think, look, I'm sure there are people out there that need help, because look, science is helpful, but there are other options, especially when you're talking to two young, healthy people. You know, the IVF pamphlet shouldn't have been the first thing that was handled. It should have been, hey, here, why don't you go and talk to this person? Why don't you go and talk to a naturopath? Why don't you go and see this other person? Because up to that moment, we always only use natural therapies to help our bodies. Like, you know, we go to a physiotherapist, we go to, you know, the health store, we cook fresh meals. Like, you know, we never use things that like medically, we try to avoid them as much as possible, but that's us, okay? And given that clinical picture of me and Nick, should have been maybe the best option to forward some other information rather just pushing me to get drugs and you know, and plus there was no support like for my mental support, you know, like it's a shock, like, you know, to hear all these things without having any preparation or like, hey, little heads up, this could happen, you know. So I think people should definitely ask questions all the time. Like, they need to stand up for themselves. You know, if the doctor doesn't feel right for you, change it. If you want to do an alternative therapy, advocate for yourself, because I don't think there is anyone else that can do it but yourself. You know, like, and we had to do it after, even with Kingsley, on different areas of you know, or his growth. And, you know, we were just, you know, we had the conversation. You know, he's our child. We are making the choices for him. And yes, I'll take your suggestion, but you can't push it down my throat. So that taught us, for me, especially when it comes to the big business of medicine and pharmaceuticals and everything, that's 100%. Advocate for yourself, do your research, talk to people that have gone through this. if you don't know where to go, I think, go to your health food shop. I'm sure they have a naturopath that can suggest certain things. If that what the doctor suggesting doesn't feel right for you, if it's right for you, man, go. And I wish you the best. But I think that for me, what told me, because it wasn't the journey at the beginning was not empowering at all. I felt so stupid. I felt I had no idea what was going on. And if I just, I did what I was told until I said, no, I'm going to stop.
And isn't it interesting? And thank you so much for this understanding, because isn't it interesting? Even if you just talk about how that was before you did the free fertility challenge versus after doing the free fertility challenge, right? And understand, like, did you feel that you knew more by the end of that?
So much more. Much more. Because it's so concentrated in like those days, and you're just like, okay, you want to keep up, right?
Yeah.
And then you have, yes, of course, everybody's busy, but if you are interested in something, you need to do it for you. There's not going to be anyone else doing it for you.
Yeah, exactly. It would be nice.
Yeah, and but there was no other option that was given to us beside doing one things, but there are, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nick, what about for you? Like, what is one thing that you would want men out there to know about this journey, next steps, things that, they need to be aware of, anything that you feel is valuable for men on this journey?
Man, the only thing for me is that those parameters that you get from your GP that are just they just seem wildly wrong.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know the figures, but I know there's a very high percentage of miscarriages that are contributed to the sperm. And
50%. Yeah.
50? That's crazy. And then
and no one knows.
And no one knows, and no one tells anybody. And it seems like it's really common. But if your GP's told you that your sperm's fine and you're still having miscarriages, then there's a massive problem.
Yeah.
And I think I said to you the first time we spoke, why didn't we know what you just told us already? No one's told us what you told us in our first interview.
Yeah.
And it's obviously like, it might be a conspiracy theory, but it's obviously a money thing. And if everyone got healthy and just had babies, then they'd be in trouble.
Yeah. And look, it's not a conspiracy theory. Sadly, it's just a very broken healthcare system, and it's fragmented all over the world, and so it's like public health is about doing the very, very least for the most number of people. And that means that if somebody is struggling to get pregnant, it's not a priority to understand why. That is not the purview of the healthcare system. It's actually, how do we prevent people from dying from non-communicable and communicable diseases, And so couples who struggle to conceive are very hard done by how the structure of the healthcare works. Because if you go through a public system, you have to jump through hoops in eligibility criteria to be able to actually qualify for free treatment. And if you're not doing that, you're paying out of pocket massive amounts of money. And so the interests are very misaligned, because in the private healthcare system, we want as many cycles as possible. In the public healthcare system, no, it's coming out of my pocket, i.e. the healthcare system, i.e. the government, we're not paying. Right. Yeah. And so it's a difficult process, but I agree with you entirely. I think that so much of it comes down to understanding and learning more about how to advocate and how to help yourself, because nobody's going to come and rescue you if you're having difficulty.
That's life.
You know, so yeah. So guys, thank you so much. I mean, for me, honestly, it's such an incredible privilege to have this conversation, and it's so inspiring. You know, here we are, an IVF cycle, a couple of IUI cycles that haven't worked. We've got, you know, more than a year of trying to get pregnant, and then, you know, you go figure out some of the things that are not quite right and change them. And here we are 2 conception attempts later, and we have a natural conception, you know, of a beautiful boy who I want you to have now the floor to leave him a message, because this is his little keepsake video as well for later. And I know, Kingsley, that you are so loved, child. So what does mum and dad want to tell you for the future?
Oh my God.
Or now?
Yeah. What Kingsley is the love of our life, and he knows it because we tell him all the time. And I don't know. I wish the biggest wish for me to him is to be kind, to be strong, to help others, and, you know, to just
Be brave.
Yeah, be brave, adventurous, and you know, he is our miracle, and life is a miracle in itself, because it's never Kingsley. I don't think we can't keep it for granted, and we just need to live it to the fullest every day. Come here, little monkey. But yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is such a beautiful message. And anything you want to add, Nick, to your beautiful son?
You can't, because otherwise he's gonna cry. I think. He already had a bit. We had some tears this morning. So
it's so beautiful. You know,
Nick, 4 years ago.
Oh gosh, you know, it's incredible. Like for me, I got goosebumps as you were telling me that, you know, today, 4 years ago, here we had the miracle of this positive pregnancy test, and how wonderful that is. And one thing that I do want to say to you, Kingsley, is all of you always, child. You are an incredible, wanted, beautiful soul. And guys, Alia and Nick, you know, for me, it is more than a privilege to be able to hold your hand from beginning to baby and beyond. And I am so grateful that we had your trust and your work ethic to get this done. So huge congratulations. It's a wonderful privilege to be a part of your family.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you to everyone. We were so lucky to have found you.
Thank you for Mom and Dad.
Amore. We were so lucky to find you, and yeah, I'm so grateful for everything. I don't know if we could have gotten here without you. I don't think so. I don't think so. So yeah.
Thank you for your trust and your confidence and your love and regard. For me, again, like I said, it's such a wonderful privilege. So guys, I want to say thank you. And any last words that you want to leave people with about your story and your journey?
I think that, like you said, fertility is a team sport. And I believe you and your team were in our team to make us win. And I think that was always the goal at the beginning and at the end of our journey, to see us winning. And yeah, so we so grateful. You see, like it just
I find it hard to get through these sessions without tears. I really do. It's just so beautiful. So thank you. Nick, any last words?
Yeah, I think trust the process, your process, and I just think it's a shame that it takes people so long to find you.
Yeah.
Our biggest problem is anonymity. So thank you for also helping to share this message, because it helps many others have the courage of their convictions. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriella. Say hello to everyone. Emma, I know Georgina, but everyone, and Alice